Hey, yep, I see it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joelle Kilcourse. I'm a library media specialist at Fairfield Elementary School in Fairfield, Connecticut. We are presenting all about digital citizenship tonight. I'm going to introduce my two colleagues who are also library media specialists in Fairfield, Gina Han and Stephanie Goldberg.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name is Gina Han. I'm the library media specialist at Mill Hill Elementary School.
And I'm Stephanie Goldberg. I'm the library media specialist at Sherman Elementary School in Fairfield as well.
I am going to present my screen and we're going to talk all about Wixie because we love it.
Okay.
That's us in case you're interested. So in today's webinar, we are going to do a deep dive into demonstrating learning and creating some projects in Wixie. Throughout our Wixie lessons, our activities, and our products, we have used settings to differentiate instruction to meet the needs of all learners, integrated the video tool as a means of building effective communication skills, and showcasing and assessing student understanding. And we've asked students to create authentic products to showcase student understanding of digital citizenship concepts. Throughout this presentation, please feel free to stop, ask questions. We are monitoring the chat. We are ready for a really collaborative and exciting conversation. Gina's going to talk a little bit about our standards.
So here you see the standards that are taken from our Fairfield Public Schools collaborative library media curriculum. This curriculum was written with the goal of embedding our content area into all the other content areas. So you'll also see that we've crosswalked all of our standards with AASL, ISTE, 21st Century Skills, as well as highlighted Common Core standards, both in ELA and math. Specifically, these digital citizenship lessons have been also taken from our digital citizenship units that were written by our Fairfield Public amazing elementary librarians over, I want to say 3 summers, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we are really focused on the communication and collaboration piece of our Fairfield Public Schools curriculum in those digital citizenship units. So
what we're going to show you is a little bit from grades 2, 3, and 4. Our students get Chromebooks for the first time in grade 3. So we really, although we teach digital citizenship in all grade levels, we really hammer it in starting in grade 3. So in grade 2, we're going to show you a lesson on information privacy using Wixie as a demonstration of student understanding. In grade 3, we're going to share how we use Wixie in the form of a response journal or an exit slip, again, as a way to demonstrate student understanding. And grade 4, once they really have that foundation, and the upper grades will share some activities such as a PSA, a public service announcement, which is really for us a digital citizenship culmination project. And we'll discuss again, how we can basically take Wixie and insert that into other platforms that might be good for our more advanced students or upper grade students, such as WeVideo.
So this first lesson is really preparing our students because, as Steph mentioned, in grade 3, we roll out our one-to-one Chromebooks and begin grade 3 with implementing Chromebook care lessons, as well as appropriate use of digital applications and devices. So this lesson really kind of sets the stage in grade 2 for preparing students and understanding what kinds of information are okay to share online and what kinds of information should be kept private. So, we highlighted the ISTE standards that this applies to, as well as our FBS framework. And basically in this lesson, students learn the difference between personal and private information, and then they demonstrate their understanding of what information is okay to share by using a Wixie template to complete an All About Me poster. And this was taken from our digital citizenship curriculum that our library media specialists have worked really hard on. So this is the template that we came up with. And this can be a great place to try those settings, as Joelle's going to talk about later, because you can really limit what students have access to because you really want them to focus on the typing and the information. But you can also, change the template or take out some of the things if you're really wanting to see if they understand what's personal versus private. You can take out the headings and make them come up with a thing. So it's really a great kind of base for them. So with grade 2, we kind of keep it simple because it's really preparing them for later and have kinds of things for them to fill in to really highlight that personal versus private. So this is just the template. And then here's an example. So we have Evelyn. She loves to design dolls or design clothes for her dolls. So, and then we get to share them and we get to talk about why this is an okay thing to share digitally or in person to somebody you might not know versus private information like my home address, my phone number, my email address. Yeah, spicy spam. I love it.
In 3rd grade, we really move into students having the autonomy and agency of their own devices and the preparation for taking on what is really a huge responsibility. And so in 3rd grade, we really want to make sure that we are creating digital citizens who are responsible and safe, but who also know how to handle using a computer and being connected when an adult might not be watching every single thing that they do, that they are trustworthy and ethical all the time. So these are the things our driving unit understandings. It informs pretty much everything we do. So one of the things that we did this year, this is one of our lessons as a culminating assignment. We read a book called Brains Not Just a Zombie Snack by Stacey McNulty. It's also a Charter Oak book nominee, which is a wonderful Connecticut Book Award. They're nonfiction and fiction selections every year. This is all about how their brains work. It was timing during testing, so they were using their brains a lot. And so what we did was we connected this idea of using your brains in zombies, which kids really enjoy, to informally assess digital citizenship. So it was really about, even a zombie would know what to do in terms of being a responsible digital citizen. And so here are some student work. These were designed really to be informal assessments for me at the end of the year to make sure before they go home for the summer with their Chromebooks that they are going to be safe and responsible. They did, it was a really fun, they did a really great job. They enjoyed doing them so much that we're actually turning them into K2 books for students to take home this summer to practice their own reading and literacy, but also to prepare them to be digital citizens as well. So here are a couple student samples. When you're online, make sure not to share personal things such as your personal ID or your password. They really liked finding zombie images in Wixie for this. You're brainless zombies. You should be respectful with your computer. Like, don't share personal stuff. Don't throw your keyboard out the window. Okay, I'm just joking, but seriously, don't. Take care of your computer. It costs a lot. Dear zombie, make sure your Chromebook does not run out of power so you don't need to charge the battery in your special.
Yes.
All of these things that we want them to really understand. And so this, again, it was a great exit ticket. It also provided me with an opportunity to see some areas that I did need to reinforce. What are some of the places that students maybe hadn't considered or weren't thinking about before they go home for the summer with their devices? So it's just one more way of getting some eyes on them before we lose them and over the summer.
So can you go back just one, Joelle?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. So like we have been mentioning, 3rd grade is a very important year for them. It's a huge responsibility that they get their Chromebooks. And it is a time where we say, we've been talking about all these digital citizenship concepts and you've engaged in these lessons, and now we really need to practice it. So one thing that I started thinking about and toying with is the acronym STAR, and really having 3rd grade students envision themselves as STAR digital citizens. So thinking of themselves as safe, thoughtful, appropriate, and respectful. So with that being said, at the end of this, you'll see a rubric that I came up with to kind of outline that. And that's kind of the basis in which I use to measure how how much of a digital citizen that they are being in a positive manner. And so we're using all these resources for our digital citizenship lessons within our units, especially adaptations of common sense media lessons, because they are absolutely great. They really are great. And you can adapt them to meet the needs of your students. So something that I did was use Wixie just to assess student understanding in the form of an exit ticket at the completion of every lesson in the third grade digital citizenship units. So every single time they completed a lesson, so I would do a common sense media lesson, and then I would share a slideshow with them. We'd listen to a video, have some discussion, and then they would respond to that lesson in the form of an exit ticket to demonstrate their understanding by completing the response on either using text, audio, or video on Wixie. So all of the varied forms of assessment really help to tailor to their individual needs. If there's a student that really struggles with typing and you want to know if they understand the definition of what a digital citizen is and why it's important, using the video or audio feature is really something easy that you can do to allow them to prove their understanding. So it's simultaneously allowing teachers just to measure the understanding of our students in the way that they'd like to. So if Joelle goes to the next slide, you'll see one of those examples. So this is just a quick exit slip. So on the top left, I have the teacher resources for myself, and I use them to click out to the resources to set up my lesson. And that is what we outlined in our FPS units and what we use across the district. And then in this sense, I put my exit slip in Wixie. So they can leave a text box or a video with their answer right on the page. This particular student left a text box and they answered the question, what is a digital footprint? Why is it important to manage or take care of your digital footprint? And they said a digital footprint is when you have a history of all things that you do online and it follows you for life. It is important to take care of your footprint because it will matter in your life with all you do in life. You can do things like typing online that are positive or use it to learn to have a positive footprint. And then in the next slide, you'll see one of our students, Henley, and Joelle can play this in a moment, answer it in video format. Does it play the audio? You hearing it? No?
I'm not hearing
You know what?
it.
It's probably because I'm not sharing just a tab. Hold on.
Oh. You can try it. And if it doesn't work, that's okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, this is bringing me back.
Yeah, it's bringing me back to those pandemic days, right?
Let me share a tab. Hopefully this should work.
You really want to make sure that you do good things online because you don't want to get a bad reputation. If you do get a bad reputation, you might not be able to get into higher schools, get better grades, and all that stuff like that. If you do have a good reputation online, then you'll get rewarded and actually get into a good school and do a lot of other good things in your life. It is important to take care of your digital footprint because you want to make sure that you're a good example for kids younger than you, and you always want to make sure that they are learning from you and you on your digital footprint.
Yeah, she's adorable. She clearly understands what a digital footprint is, and in her own words, names a few examples of why it's really important and some of the effects that a digital maintaining a positive digital footprint has on your life in so many aspects. And someone like her who has a lot to say, that might take a long time to type. So it's really nice for a student to be able to just answer a question or two in the way that they want to. And that is why we love Wixie for so many different form assessments and responses, but especially for digital citizenship. I think. Okay. And then, so Joelle is going to, but she's going to get started on talking about PSAs, or those public service announcements. So we really, by fourth grade, they have a better understanding of safety and privacy and etiquette, permissions, and, the permanency of of their actions online. And so they can really attend to more sophisticated activities like a PSA. So Joelle and I both had our own take on how we approached it with students, but essentially created the same kind of product as a culmination to some of our units.
Again, one of the things I think that really makes Wixie special, and I think we just saw that with what Gina and Stephanie have shown too, is the ability for students to select how they want to demonstrate their learning. So for the PSA project, which is also something that is pretty much department-wide, we're very lucky to work in a district that has a fully certified K-12 staff of library media specialists. So there are many assured experiences that our students have. So there is a continuum that happens that many students have a very similar opportunity to make PSAs as well. And their skills are, the things that we're asking them to demonstrate are similar, but how they do it is unique to them. So again, that's reiterated here in our FPS framework. In the PSA project, it's one of those opportunities where we really take some time and we drill down on the difference between what is a public service announcement and what is a commercial. What is the purpose of both of these kinds of media? Because embedded in understanding a PSA and a commercial is really the beginnings of understanding, that the media literacy piece that our students need to understand. After students understand the difference between a public service announcement and a commercial, and we talk about what the goal of their public service announcement is in terms of promoting digital citizenship and a K-5 building. Students write their own scripts. They can create their own or use a template. I do have that linked here. It's probably going to go to another tab, but I do have within this presentation that we'll share with you are all of the templates that I used for these as well. Some students opted to narrate, and some students used a video tool. Just a video tool. Just narrated because they illustrated, and others decided they really wanted to use that video tool. So here's an example of one of our students who made one just about what's being safe, what's safe to share when they're online. So they created a PSA. In their script, they said, we would like to make this for a K-2 class. We want to talk about sharing information and being safe. Both of these students have younger siblings, and I think that was what their thinking was.
Hi, I'm Peter. And I'm Emily. We are going to tell you what is safe to share and what is not safe to share when you're online. It is safe to share things like your favorite animal. It is also safe to share your favorite ice cream flavor. And it is not safe and it is safe to share your favorite food. It is not safe to share information that is personal about you or your family, like your address. And it is not safe to share your password. And it is not safe to share your school. We hope you learned what is safe to share online.
Now,
Okay.
Steph,
That was awesome. How
used
cute. I love that.
themes for her PSAs. So
Yes.
she's going to talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to take a moment before I share our PSAs. I don't know if everybody watching or everybody joining us knows how to make teams. So we have the directions on this one slide so that you could go ahead and just follow them, or copy and paste it or use it another time. Just pause your screen and go ahead and follow those directions. But I'm going to take you through through screenshots and tell you how to make the teams or what worked for us. So if Joelle goes to the next one, the first thing that you do is you create your template. So you can go right to the new button and you can make up your own template, or you can use one of the templates in the Wixie libraries, and you can just click File and Import. I just clicked on a random main idea detail template, and this is one that if you wanted a group of students to work on, then you can make teams for it. So you just click File, Import, grab your template, and then you have what you want to push out. Then if you want to create teams, let's say you want 2 teams, you're going to go to the 3 dots, go to My Projects, and go to where your project exists. And then you go to the top right corner and you'll see the 3 dots. And when you click the drop down, you'll click Duplicate. You want to duplicate the project for as many teams as you want. So that very first copy, what you're going to do for every single copy is rename those copies. And what you'll rename it with is to the names of the students of the group you are assigning it to. So you don't even have to put student names. You could put, group 1, group 2, and just have the students know who they are. You can do yellow, blue, however it is that you want to organize it, you can do. But you can see in my example, I put Joelle and Gina and Beth and Johnny into separate groups. And then what you'll do is you'll open each copy. So you'll go back to My Projects, open the first copy that you made, Joelle and Gina, go to the top right, you'll see the team function, and then you click it. And then you'll open your roster. So if you are a classroom teacher, you'll probably only have 1 class. But if you are a specialist like we are, you'll have multiple classes in a drop down, and then you can select the class that you're working with, and you'll toggle on the blue switch next to the name of the students that you want to put in the team. And then you just need to remember to press save. So students, once you turn this on, once you assign the teams and you save them, then in their Wixie, when they go in, they will access their project under Team Project. It's on the left-hand side when they first go in. And that's actually how we did our presentation today, is in using Teams. So there's no need to actually assign the project, because it will automatically appear and be assigned to them once you toggle on that blue switch to assign them a team and save it.
Have you ever heard the phrase that some...
Sorry.
That's okay. I didn't know it would automatically play.
Me either.
So,
are you ready?
So the next example is our example of one of my student groups, their PSA. And basically I did kind of the same thing as Joelle, except I just divided it into 3 parts. So I gave them 3 slides. When I created my template, I created the first one and I wrote introduction. So basically it's this, I wanted them to plan the statement or the question that they were going to hook the audience with, and then create and draw based on that. The second slide was really the support. I actually had them, prior to making the PSAs, read some ebooks on Big Universe, which was a subscription ebook database that we had a subscription to at the time. And they had a bunch of books, and they have them on Epic and on various databases too. But if you look, there's a lot of literature, there's a lot of ebooks out there on digital citizenship that are really great for kids. You just have to be very careful and kind of vet them, because sometimes when you get into the cyberbullying, it could get a little heavy and you have to look at the age appropriateness. But I had them read these ebooks, and they took some notes, and they jotted down some things from the ebooks that supported their topic, and they planned it basically before they came to Wixie. And then that last slide that I gave to them all it said at the top was call to action. So asking the students to think about, okay, you introduced a question or a statement, you've given them some reasons that this is important. And the last thing I want you to do is think about a call to action. What are you asking the audience to do? What is it? Do you want them to reflect on something? Do you want them to take action? Do you want them to call a friend and talk to them about what you've just learned? So really just saying what it is you actually want them to do at the end of your PSA. So here's the example of one of our student groups. Now it doesn't want to go.
Now it's not playing.
Uh-oh. Let's stop and
Have
start
you
it
ever
again.
heard the phrase that sometimes words are stronger than actions? Well, it's true, except not always in a good way. There are upstanders and bystanders. Bystanders hurt people, meanwhile upstanders heal. Today you will learn more about this, and I hope you become an upstander if you aren't already one.
And I told them they don't have to have everything on the screen that they've written.
Have you ever heard the saying, words are powerful? This might set off good vibes about words, but this is not entirely true. Sometimes people take advantage of words online because they think they can stay anonymous. So they go on their way being rude and obnoxious and ruining other people's day. If this is you, you need to stop.
So please, think about your actions before you ever cyberbully again. Like, should I be doing this? Would I say this in public? Would I do this in public?
And then they just had oh, go ahead. I don't know if they
Your
recorded
digital
this.
footprint matters. What you do, share, and say online matters.
Yeah. And then they listed their source information. So again, all I did was at the top, if you want to go back, Joelle, just one for a second. At the top, you can see kind of hovering in the bottom of the stars on the right. That's all I wrote for them is just a guy like call to action. Like, what do you want them to do on page 3? And then most of them actually deleted it from their slide at the end, but just as a guide for them. And then I set the teams up and I pushed it out. They read their books, they took some notes, they planned it, and then they went and split up the 3 slides. And something I think Joelle can talk about too when she's reviewing settings that she has mentioned so nicely before is that it really is important for them to still at any age in elementary school realize that they can really only work on their slide unless they're given permission to work on somebody else's slide in the project, even though they are a team. And it's something that they did really nicely and really showed their understanding of one specific aspect of digital citizenship as a culmination.
I know that we've been here for half an hour. So I know if there are any questions, Gina, that we would want to address.
Oh yeah, there was one. There was a really good question. I'm sorry. The question was, Joelle, it was from Denise. Is it a challenge when students come into the district and haven't the foundational skills? And I'll very quickly answer that, and you guys can answer as well. But I do think it is a little bit, but Wixie is so easy to use that I feel like they see a text tool, they see a microphone, they see if we show it to them once with a little bit of help from their friends. And that's one thing that I always talk to them about is help each other. You don't know something, take a little bit of a risk and try it and press the undo button. We call it the magic undo button in Wixie. And they go for it. And it really doesn't take much time at all for them to come in and to learn the skills. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree that it's definitely a challenge when students do not have foundational skills. But one of the things, especially older students, because so often our older students are enmeshed with Google Classroom, they're in the Google Educational Suite. But Wixie has so many similarities to many of those other programs that there is what I actually did this year was with 2 students who came in and had no tech skills. I taught them Wixie first. And then after Wixie, we moved into Google Slides, Google Docs, and the rest of the educational suite, because so many of the things that they were able to learn within Wixie were very similar within some of the other apps, especially within Google Slides with the undo button, the fill button, the text features. So I do think that having a platform that is engaging and familiar in so many ways for students does make it easier. But I would say one of the other challenges, Denise, in terms of the foundational skills is we're 1-to-1 3-5, but we're not to 1-to-1 K2. And so I see my kindergarten, first and second grade students once in a 6-day rotation. So the inflexibility of that schedule sometimes makes it hard sometimes to get to students who might need to build up those foundational skills earlier. But we do the best we can.
And then another question, Joelle and Gina, was how long does this stuff take us? Like how many classes? How long do you allow for work on something like this? Number of classes, time in each class?
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second so we can talk with our faces. So that's a great question. So I think, I feel like we have a pretty good sense now of how much we can accomplish in a 40-minute block of time. So the way our schedule works, we have every K-5 class for a 140-minute block in a 6-day rotation. And so generally the way that we frame things, you begin with a mini lesson, about a 10-minute mini lesson, and then about I usually do a 20 to 25-minute independent practice or guided practice, depending on the grade. And then I always end my class with a library book checkout, unless they're in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. In those grades, book checkout is separate. So in K2, really, I structure my lessons to be about a 30-minute block of time. So when I'm making those lessons, I'm breaking them down into, okay, so we're going to get to this point today, and we're going to stop. And then we're going to move on to this part tomorrow. So a lot of times there's a modeling piece in the beginning that might take a little bit longer. So we're working on, here's an example, we're working on name books in kindergarten right now. It's a team project. It's our first team project because I really want students to understand that the work of their classmates is kind of sacred. So how can I get them to understand this digital citizenship skill at a very early age, that if you're collaborating on a document, you work on your own page and you don't work on anybody else's, even though you can see it. And maybe you really want to work on the letter P because your name is Paul, but you're doing the letter L, it happens. Mm-hmm. So within a lesson like that, so the first lesson will be the longest, where we're modeling kind of what it looks like. So they'll make their P, and then they'll do book checkout. The next class we come back in and it's layered like, okay, so today, you wrote your P, and today we're going to draw a picture, and we're going to, add on to those things. So when I'm doing it in my head, I kind of know I'm going to do this over 3 days. I'm going to give it 3 days for this, and then I'm going to move on to the next, because I know if I don't give myself a time limit, I will do it until it's perfect. And there's no such thing.
We have another question too, when you're ready. So do you have a tech buddy system from Joshua between grade levels, 5th graders coming to 2nd grade to work one-on-one with each other? I wish, but unfortunately our schedule, it doesn't really allow us to have that. Like a lot of our schools have like tech crews where students, older grades will come help us log in computers and things like that for testing, but not really for class. I haven't done that personally. I don't know if Joelle and Stephanie have.
No, sometimes our kids are, in their core subjects, like either language arts or math, or they could even very well be at lunch or, so it like Gina said, it just doesn't work with our schedules.
No, we don't have tech buddies, but what we do have are designated library media paraprofessionals. Mm-hmm. And so I have my wonderful para Gina is with me for the whole day. And it is having a partner it makes all the difference. And so oftentimes we'll kind of divide and conquer. Before students come, we'll always kind of I have an idea of, well, these friends, little Jimmy, he missed last class, or he's a little bit behind, or I'm going to work with Susie today because we need to get this. Can you handle this? Or And that's kind of, how it works. I could not do my job without her.
100%.
I really couldn't. And then I would probably be begging, borrowing, and stealing fifth graders.
Please, please.
We have in the past, we do have book buddies in my building, and it's a wonderful program. And there have been in the past times where a fourth grade and their first grade book buddy, or kindergartner and their fifth grade book buddy have come in to work on something, but it's very hard to coordinate their schedules because of the 6-day rotation. Service delivery in other areas are impacted. So we're always kind of, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, but that's a great idea, Joshua, and something that I am going to write down for sure.
To make it work, it would be amazing.
It would be great.
Really
Good
would.
for the fifth graders too, though. I feel like
Also, because any
help them more.
opportunities for students to be leaders, especially in the realm of technology, it's so powerful for them to be able to have that agency. So that'd be a great thing. I'm just going to quickly go back to kind of our takeaways. I'm going to put a link to this presentation in the chat. I have there's some screenshots with settings. I'm a big believer in settings. I think settings for me has really transformed how I've differentiated and kind of modified some lessons to make sure that students are learning what they need to, have access to what they need to, but also are not overwhelmed or overstimulated by so many of the things that Wixie offers, so they really can focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, so I think, if you take a look in the rest of our presentation without, going over our time, Joelle did a great job of reviewing those settings, and Gina kind of puts in a step-by-step of how to take those pictures from Wixie to download them as JPEGs and insert them into any other software like WeVideo, where they can create their slides or their work and use that elsewhere. And then I also have that digital citizenship rubric in there that feel free to use. It's something that I worked really hard on because I was really struggling with trying to find really exact criteria of what I was looking for our students to be safe and thoughtful and appropriate and respectful, because I wanted to include that thoughtfulness when they were commenting and actually interacting online. So I think there's a lot of really good resources there.
Yeah.
So just generally, our takeaways from this project, and I think really, Gina, would you agree that pretty much all of any major cumulative project is, editing project settings was really very helpthe
It was a game changer this year.
Don't be afraid to use the team functions. It rocks. Just do it. There are the rich text tools embedded into those text features. It was really the beginning of students starting to really understand graphic design skills too, which was really fun to talk about, and also to have them understand.
Joelle, can you click through? Denise said to click through the other pages so they're part of the recording. She asked for you to click through the rest of the presentation.
Oh, yes, I absolutely will. And that we should, and that developing students' opportunities to collaborate and communicate is worth an extra class or two if we need to. And I will click through the rest of it. So this is just an overview of how to edit your settings. And this is if you wanted to change your stickers, locking a folder. I love, locking a folder. What it could look like if you choose books, because what else would a librarian choose?
Very fitting, Joelle.
And that's what they look like. There's a little bit more if you scroll down, but that gives you a general sense of what kids would see. And there's, I think, your team project stuff, right?
That's where you would see the project.
I love it.
And then we have some other additional Wixie digital citizenship ideas, a fifth grade digital footprint lesson, and then a media literacy program project identifying fact versus opinion. There's another Charter Oak book called is it Facts versus Opinions versus Robots?
Yes.
Which, if you haven't read that one, I would really recommend. It's a great way of teaching students how to differentiate between facts, opinions, and robots. This is Gina's awesome digital footprint
Awesome lesson.
Where
this
students.
Is kind of cool because the Wixie, like with Google Slides, it's cool, but Wixie, you can use that clone feature so that students aren't accidentally deleting the pictures that they're supposed to be putting in their footprint. And they basically look at their Chromebook history and reflect on it and just kind of decide if it's been in line with their technology pledge. And this one was kind of a cool one too, where I did use the team function for the first time. So students had to basically write about their partner's robot. So they each drew their own robot, but then they had an opportunity to look at their partner's robot through the Wixie team feature. They had to write one fact about their robot and one opinion about their robot. So it was a great way for me to check their understanding in that, but also try out the team's feature with them. And here's an example. Then these are just steps if you have access to other video editing tools, just on how you could download Wixie images or Wixie slides and then upload them to WeVideo. WeVideo does have a little bit more advanced video editing tools. And so students that wanted to draw things to put in their WeVideo projects or PSAs were able to do that. So they were able to upload their WeVideo or Wixie slides into WeVideo. And these are just the steps on how to do that.
And then this is the rubric that I had created actually as part of my teacher evaluation, my goal last year, which was a focus on digital citizenship. So you can obviously go straight down the threes and read what the criteria is in terms of safe, thoughtful, appropriate, or respectful behavior.
And that's us. So also linked our email addresses. Feel free to email us with any questions. We love talking about Wixie.
As you can tell.
I'm not kidding. We really, and
we do.
And one of the things too, and you know, Carolyn had said that it's not often that there's three ties together. Gina, Stephanie, and I work really closely, even though we're in different buildings, but also we're in a department of 11 amazing library media specialists. So there's so much collaboration that we do. And oftentimes it's really does center on many of the things that Wixie gives us opportunities to. So the Fairfield Public Schools, and actually our department liaison is here tonight, Claire Safstrom.
Amazing, Claire.
We feel very lucky just that not only do we have excellent, you know, instructional resources that we can use, but also colleagues that we can work together to really make sure that our students are getting the very best educational opportunities possible.
And that's it. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. And we hope that you got some ideas or jogged your thoughts in some way about digital citizenship or Wixie and its use in some way. And don't hesitate to contact us if you need to ask us any questions.
Hold on, I'm gonna throw the link in the chat.
Okay.
Perfect. There we go.